Всем привет, дорогие друзья. Mr. How should I call you?
You should address me as Mr. Campbell, I think.
Mr. Campbell. Okay,
Sure.
Mr. Campbell.
On a personal level, it should be Earl.
Earl. Okay.
Professionally, Mr.
Okay,
Campbell.
Mr. Campbell or Earl. Be welcome here. It's a pleasure. Mr. Campbell is. I'm gonna let him talk about himself. Can you please tell us who are you? What are you doing here? Like a little bit about yourself, please.
Who are you as an imposing to phrase that question, right?
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Earl Campbell. I teach English here in Kelechek. I teach chemistry as well, of course. I have a long professional career teaching English and teaching biology in America. I previously worked at American school here nearby in near Orcheston, bizarre. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose my education is as a naturalist or a biologist, if you had to choose a word for it. But, yeah.
Biologist. Okay. And why Kyrgyzstan?
I came to Kyrgyzstan because I was educated at a time when the Soviet Union still existed, of course. And I learned quite a lot about Frunze and the revolution and the Civil War in the school. I was fortunate enough to go to a good school where we learned those sort of things. And as an adult, I was fascinated by the region, was fascinated by Central Asia. I decided to join the Peace Corps, if you're familiar with it or not, Corpus Mira. But in joining the Peace Corps, I had three options, I believe. One of them was Macedonia, one of them was Moldova, and the third was Kyrgyzstan. And of those three, I think Kyrgyzstan was the most interesting to me, so I decided on this.
Okay, great. So, guys, as you could see, as you could hear, Mr. Campbell. We are talking about when you start. When was the first time you heard about Kyrgyzstan?
Oh, I'm sure in school. Yeah.
You were around 15.
No, younger, maybe 8 or 9. Yeah, sure.
So interesting because of course, no offense, but I've just heard about Kyrgyzstan. I was 21,
Really?
22. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That was a long unit in our 4th or 5th grade geography class. Was learning the international capitals for every country, and at that time learning all the capitals of the Soviet republics also. So.
And also, for example, in your curriculum, it was part of your education, geography or history, to know
Sure.
about Soviet Union.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
Yes, great. We also studied, but more in general, not very specific, or deeper. But okay. And connected to this part of being an American, living in Kyrgyzstan, I would like to ask you something. Can you share the biggest cultural adjustment, Mr. Campbell, you faced when you first moved to Kyrgyzstan? And of course, how did you deal with it?
In general, my adjustment to the cultural affect of Kyrgyzstan has been easy. I had no issues adjusting
Really?
whatsoever. Really, I in my social and cultural background, there is a tremendous value ascribed to formality, to maintaining a certain social distance between yourself and other people, right? And that is absolutely an attribute of Kyrgyz society, Kyrgyz culture, and an attribute of Soviet culture, right? I mean, even linguistically in the Russian language, right? There's very clear indicators of what your status is with another person, and in the Kyrgyz language, the same, right? So for me, I find that very comforting. I find that very easy to adjust to. The only issues I've ever encountered has been when I come across someone who doesn't hold those cultural values, right? But you encounter those people everywhere. You encounter those people in America, in Canada, in France, everywhere, right? So when you encounter someone rude, it is always an uncomfortable situation.
Yes,
So,
of course. And what about, for example, weather, food,
no, I haven't encountered any issues with that really
No.
at all. No, as far as weather is concerned, the weather in Kyrgyzstan is relatively mild compared to where I lived before. So yeah.
the place you were raised there, it's also cold and hot, or
Oh, sure.
the winter there's also?
Yes, it is very cold. It was much colder when I was young, but yeah, the winter there is roughly the same, actually. So, yeah.
What about language?
Oh, as far as language is concerned, I studied Russian a bit before I came here, but my Russian level was dependent upon English language textbooks in America. So those textbooks provide you a very poor understanding of the actual usable language, right? When I arrived, the Peace Corps, that is, they decided to teach us Kyrgyz language.
Kyrgyz language.
And so we spent 3 months learning Kyrgyz and only Kyrgyz. And then I went to a city where I taught in a school that was a Russian language school in a city that is mostly Russian language speakers. And so I was forced to practice Russian almost every day for, 3 or 4 years.
Great.
So, yeah.
So now you can understand, comprehend
Of course,
Russian
yeah,
easily.
sure. Unfortunately, I had a sort of a hiatus in between where I went back to America for a while and then lost a bit of comprehension, unfortunately.
Okay.
But, yeah, so.
But now you're back. So okay, great. So now, and about this that you just said, like going back to America, now living here, please, Mr. Campbell, can you tell me about a time when you really felt like away from home? And how did you deal with it? Like missing something or relatives, like your homeland?
I don't know that I've ever encountered that situation, to be honest, really. Yeah. For example, in the southeastern United States, where I grew up, there's a sort of a wily, intelligent, city-dwelling bird called the mockingbird. You ever heard of a mockingbird?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have. Yeah. So you know what they look like as well, yes? Yeah. So they're white and gray and have a very primitive look to them. I always like them. But anyway, they're mimics also. And then in Kyrgyzstan, the myna. Do you know the myna bird or no? So the myna is another variety of bird. It is another kind of wily, very intelligent mimic. It's not a member of the same genus, though. It's a radically different looking bird, right? So these two animals occupy the same niche in biology, right? So coming here, I immediately recognize just from behavior, oh, that bird is like a mockingbird, even though it looks completely different, it acts completely different, right? Yeah, it's not even the same genus. It's from the same species or same genus as starlings, I think. But yeah, I've even living in France previously, when I had lived abroad before, I never really felt far from home, just because I was able to recognize patterns in the place that I lived, you know. So
Interesting. Do you know, for example, I'm a Brazilian, and sometimes I really feel like, I really miss the food in my homeland.
Sure.
Do you feel something like this, like food or something that you had there, like a place or no?
I cook.
So
not particularly, no.
Great.
Yeah. If there's something I miss from home, I make it. So
Yeah, that's the point, because there are some ingredients that I cannot find here
Oh,
at
really?
all. Yeah.
Like what?
For example, do you know we have one fruit? The point is that I was born in Amazon region.
Oh, sure.
And there's very specific.
Yeah.
Do you know some kind of, trees, fruits, and ingredients you're just gonna find there.
Oh, I see.
So it's kind of complicated, but yes,
okay.
it's a good point. So you can cook.
Yeah, of course.
You can cook. Okay, nice. And have you? I know it was not here, but could you learn any kind of national? Food like lagman, plov? Do you know how to cook or not so far?
Oh, so yes, I even in America, I used to cook kulich at Easter or bake kulich at Easter, and I would cook borscht on occasion.
Borscht?
So, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not wild about plov. It's rather oily, honestly. But there are other Kyrgyz foods that are passable.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, good. So now, Mr. Campbell, if you had to choose, is there one thing you have learned about yourself from living in Kyrgyzstan that you might not have discovered if you had stayed in the US?
If anything, living here has allowed me to become more myself. I don't feel any particular pressure to conform or to be what society expects me to be, right? I actually have the time to pursue my hobbies and to pursue my interests outside of work, right? Formerly, when I was living in America, my life was devoted to work, almost to the exclusion of all other things, right? Yeah. And if I had wanted to take on a part-time job or, I don't know, just cut the number of hours I was working in a week, I would be potentially endangering myself, right? Because I would lose health care or I would no longer be able to support myself. So here I have the freedom to pursue whatever I like, So
It's great. It's a great point.
I don't know anything about the nature of private property in Brazil, but for example, if you were to go to a beach or something, it would be considered a public beach or a private beach, or who owns that space? That's the primary issue with America, is that, say, for example, I live in a state where there are mountains very close to me. If I go to the mountain, someone owns the mountain.
Ah, really? It's
Right?
not free. You cannot.
No, it belongs to someone, or it is a national park or something like that. Obviously, those are exceptions, right?
Okay.
But usually that space is owned by someone, and that person is rather aggressive about protecting it.
Okay,
at times.
okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Now in Brazil, like if you go to a beach, it's easier to find like
Really?
a free place.
Oh,
So,
okay.
no problems. Just need to find a time, and then find time and then go there. Now, next one. We are almost getting to the end, and about challenges. Mr. Campbell, he said he's a teacher, English and chemistry teacher. And Mr. Campbell, what are some unique challenges you have faced teaching English and chemistry to students whose first language isn't English? So,
In regard to teaching English, every English teacher here is saddled with two burdens. First, we have to teach English, obviously. Secondly, we have to teach our students to learn. Unfortunately, our students have the expectation that they are meant to memorize everything. That the only purpose of an English class is to memorize the analog of Russian to English, English to Russian, and that is all they are meant to do. That is not the case, obviously, right? In every class I've had to teach here, in public schools and in private schools, I have had to teach students to take notes. I have had to teach students to make an outline. I have had to teach students to generate creative language because they were not capable of doing those things. Unfortunately, it's a failing of the educational system in modern Kyrgyzstan, right? As far as chemistry is concerned, the only, I suppose, unexpected challenge, not really something that's a dilemma, but the only unexpected challenge has been just the nature of the school system here is so Soviet in nature, right? There's something about classes being completely collectivized and there being a certain understanding of discipline that means that it's very challenging to give an individual mark to a student, right? Classes are meant to work as a unit. They're meant to be a functional unit. And if you have to subscribe to the Western methodological system of subscribing an individual student with an individual rank or an individual assessment, right? It's almost impossible because students are so accustomed to working as a group, as a team, no matter what. I haven't figured out how to address that, to be perfectly honest. The only thing... There's a very good book about it I'll recommend to you sometime. I can't recall the name off the top of my head. But the only conclusion I've reached has been that maybe we should revert back to student councils and self-criticism. I don't know, but yeah, exactly. If there was a council president and they had a board meeting where they admonished the students who don't do well, like maybe that would make progress.
I got it.
But yeah.
Okay, because Mr. Campbell, it's also connected to the last, question that, they are connected. Have there been any surprising moments in the classroom that have made you rethink the way you teach or connect with your students?
It wasn't at this school, but it was at the school I worked previously. Yeah, sure. Just the realization that so much of the Soviet system had persisted in modern Kyrgyzstan. So, for example, in America, I think it's something like 20% of students attend private schools. In Kyrgyzstan, it's less than 1%. Less than 1% of students attend a private school here, right? So our curriculum is dictated by the public schools, basically. And having noticed or having come to the conclusion that the Soviet system has persisted this long, it really shows me how durable that system is. That there's something very functional about students working as a unit, working together, there being discipline in the class. The teacher is essentially God. Whatever he says is a holy word, There's something very effective about that, right? If you were to compare it to the American school system. So if you compared American schools in 1980s to the American school system today, they would be completely unrecognizable. They have nothing in common with each other, right? If you compared the Kyrgyz school system from the 1980s to today, they're very similar. They're not exactly the same, but they're very similar. So yeah, I suppose that was the epiphany that I would have reached. So yeah.
Okay, great. And Mr. Campbell, of course, thank you very much for your time, for being here with us, and of course for the contribution. And
you're very punctual.
Yeah, and I would like to ask you something.
Yes.
Like, do you have any final words? For example, let's suppose a student or someone, like a Kyrgyz person, is listening, watching us right now, and this person would like to, I don't know, this person is struggling learning English.
Oh.
Any kind of advice?
Oh, advice.
Yes, please.
In short, reading and writing are the most valuable components of learning a language, right?
Reading and writing.
Yes.
Okay.
and frankly, you can do that on your own.
Yes. Okay.
So, yeah.
And also, any recommendation of a book or something like this? Or resources?
A book I often recommend is The Pearl by John Steinbeck. You know that one, I'm sure.
I'm going to put the picture here.
Yeah, please do. It's a book that was written by an American author who was a journalist, and the language is easy to understand, etc. Yeah, sure. So, anything by Hemingway. Yeah, Hemingway or Steinbeck, or maybe Jack London or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah. Mr. Campbell, thank you very much.
Oh, of course.
It was a pleasure.
Certainly.
And so, see you next time. I hope we're going to be back here.
Oh, I suppose so. Yeah, sure.
See you. Bye-bye.
I'm just upstairs.
Yeah, of course. Guys, thank you very much. Don't forget, give your like, subscribe. Bye-bye. Paka-paka.